Hello everybody, in this lesson I will show you how to sketch a parabola in turning point form. We say that the equation is in turning point form. Now again, let's start with A. A indicates the shape. When A is greater than 0 or positive, then we say the graph is concave up, and it will be a smiley face. When A is smaller than 0 or negative, we say the graph is concave down, and it will be a sad face. Then P and Q's value, they are significant here. They form the coordinates of the turning point. Therefore, the P value will be the X coordinate of the turning point, and the Q value will be the Y coordinate of the turning point. But you must be very careful. With the X value, you will say whatever you find inside of the bracket there, the X minus P. You equate it to 0 and you solve X, and then X is equal to P. Therefore, the coordinate will be of the turning point will be P, and Q you will use as you find it there. And X is equal to P is also the equation of the axis of symmetry. Remember, the X coordinate of the turning point is exactly the same as the equation of the axis of symmetry. Now, to find the x-intercepts, the rule is still x-intercept make y 0. And then you can factorize or you can use the quadratic formula. For the y-intercept, the rule is still y-intercept make x 0. To find the domain, remember I said that the domain for all the parabolas will be x element real. The range is the Q value, and remember the Q value is the Y coordinate of the turning point. So when I give you this graph, then you will find the range there by the turning point, more specifically the Y coordinate of the turning point. So you will read it as Y is an element, and can you see the Q value is the Y coordinate of the turning point. That one is included and it goes up to infinity, and you cannot include infinity. If your parabola is in this form, the range is still the Y coordinate of the turning point, but you read it from the bottom, so this graph will be Y is an element from minus infinity, not included, up to Q, the Y coordinate of the turning point, and you include that one. Sketch the parabola, the function f onto x. You read it like that. Now, the f with the colon x means y. And then our function is bracket x plus 2 squared minus 3. Now for the shape, a's value is positive. Therefore, it's a smiley graph. The second thing we do, remember we use the 5-point plan. So we find number 2, the x-intercepts, and the rule is make y 0. So when we make y 0, we end with 0 equals bracket x plus 2 squared minus 3. And then you can multiply out the two brackets, x plus 2 times x plus 2, and you end with x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 3. And then you add the two constants, and the answer 0 is x squared plus 4x plus 1. Now you want to factorize, but you can't factorize that one. Then you will use the quadratic formula. Now, to use the quadratic formula, a's value is 1 B's value is plus 4 and C's value is plus 1. Into the quadratic formula. X is equal to minus bracket 4 plus minus the square root 4 squared minus 4 times 1 over 2 times 1. And then under the square root, 4 squared is 16 minus 4 times 1 is just 4. And then when you slot that into your calculator, your two x-intercepts are x is minus 0,27 or x is minus 3,73. Step 3 is to find the y-intercept, and the rule is we make x 0. There's the function. When we make x 0, it's 0 plus 2 squared minus 3, and then y is equal to 1. And as a coordinate, the y-intercept is the point 0 and 1. Now on the turning point, remember I said we will take P and Q's value. But you must be careful with the x plus 2. You can't say P's value is plus 2. You say x plus 2 is 0, therefore x is negative 2. So the P value is negative 2, and the Q value, you can use it as you find it there, minus 3. The axis of symmetry, by now you understand that the axis of symmetry is the x-coordinate of the turning point. Therefore, the equation for the axis of symmetry is x is equal to minus 2. Now we can sketch the parabola. There's your parabola. The x-intercepts are negative 3,73 and 0, and they are the one negative 0,27 and 0. The y-intercept is 0, 1. The turning point is negative 2, negative 3. And then you add the axis of symmetry, a dotted line, and you give me the equation for the axis of symmetry. X is equal to minus 2. Then we can also write down the domain and the range. The domain for all the parabolas are x element real. And then the range, remember we read it from the bottom upwards, and it is the y-coordinate of the turning point. Therefore, the range is y is an element minus 3, that's the Q value if you want, included up to infinity, and we don't include infinity. And then we can also say that this graph has a minimum value of y is equal to minus 3. In the next lesson, I will discuss a practice example on sketching the parabola in turning point form. Click on the video in the left-hand corner to take you straight to the next lesson.